Okay, just waiting for everyone to turn up. Hello. I'm on here really late. I don't have much time, but I'm going to do a live tonight. I try and do one every day. So I think I'll just do 15 minutes on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. So if you have any questions, now's a good time to ask because there's not many people turning up right now. It's spring break right now, so everything's a little bit askew. And that's just in North America. Around the world, it's not spring break. But anyway, so anyway, if you have any parenting questions, you can ask away. In the meantime, my name's Lisa. I'm a parenting coach. If you check out the link above, you can see my free behavior board, my mini toddler courses, my big boot camp course, and you can look into coaching. And anyway, so I'm just waiting for your questions. Feeling very mellow tonight. I don't know why. I didn't have a super busy day today, but I'm just feeling very mellow. So if you have any questions, that's what I'm here for. If you don't, I'll give it a couple minutes. If you don't come up with any questions, I'll just move over to Instagram. Instagram and TikTok are my busiest lives. So yeah, it's the weekend and it's spring break, so you might all be on holidays. Okay, so I'm just feeling really mellow. Okay, here we go. Okay. Hi, I have a 12-year-old that called the police because I asked her for her phone after seeing something concerning. Yeah, I would have a consequence for that. I'd say, after seeing something concerning. Yeah, she's... kids, they're so funny. What do they expect the police to do, right? And I need to know what you saw, by the way. What did you see? I would need to know that. So before I could comment on that. But yeah, she's trying to get you in trouble. You might want to check out my boot camp course. That's all about setting yourself up as a leader. And they don't tend to do stuff like that. Call the police. I don't know what she had on her phone. And any advice? I don't know the story. I need to know the story. Yeah. You can't give me a little tidbit and then want advice. I need to assess the situation. Anyway, if you really want my help, you can check out the boot camp course. That's all about you and your leadership. That stuff doesn't tend to happen when you're a leader, or you can look into coaching. But I'd have, if you want I can't give advice on here because I don't know the story. Okay. Almost 3-year-old wants mom to do everything. If dad does it, she has a meltdown. That's a control habit. She's just trying to control you. And I would just say, no, dad's doing it. You got dad and that's it. And let her have a meltdown. Why are you afraid of a meltdown? Never be afraid of that. A meltdown, scene, fit, tantrum, whatever. That's them processing, not getting their own way. That's okay. You want them to have that. Like, what I mean is you don't want to avoid it by giving into all of her whims and all of her, I want a mother, It's like that. So yeah, she's just controlling. It's just a manipulation tactic. Let her have a meltdown. That's like that 8-year-old that said to me, if you don't give me everything I want, I'm going to have a fit. And I said, bring it on. And he never did. I have no fear of all that stuff. Behind every scene is a lesson. Without the scenes, you're just giving in all the time to avoid the lessons, right? So don't avoid the lessons. With 2 boys in the picture. Yeah, Carlos, you're going to have to either hire me or just set yourself up as a leader using the boot camp course. That's kind of, if they've got suspicious things on their phone and they are calling the police, that's not a simple Q&A response. You see what I'm saying? Yeah, I would need to assess that. I need to know what kind of parent you are. But when mom is not around, she does fine. Yeah, it's just manipulation. That's all. Don't let her do that. It's not good for them to manipulate and control like that. They actually are happier when they're not, believe it or not. But you're going to have to go through the storm to get to the rainbow. They're going to put up a stink initially. If they're used to being in charge, which is what's happened, if they're used to being in charge, when you decide that you're in charge, they're going to put up a bit of a stink to get the power back. That's fine. Let them put up a stink. Never be afraid of a fit scene or a tantrum. I embrace it. That's my opportunity to exercise my leadership. You think that having a tantrum is going to get your own way with me? Good luck with that. You can try it, don't be afraid of that stuff. Pure manipulation. Okay. Geez, I'm feeling really mellow tonight. Do you ever have a day where you're just feeling really mellow? I wouldn't say I'm tired. I just feel really, I don't know. I don't know what's going on. I guess it's really sunny out, and maybe all that sun hitting my face after so long with no sun, it's kind of tired me out or put me in a loopy mood. Okay, now let me see here. By the way, I'm usually on here every single day, and what happens is that you guys control these lives because I'm just responding to your questions. But I've decided I don't want to do that anymore. Like, I'm going to answer questions, obviously, but I want to control it more by saying discipline is what comes up all the time in these lives. That's a very tiny part of what I teach. When I'm coaching people, they're often surprised. They say, "Oh, I thought discipline was what this is all about." They often say that. No, it's about bonding with and connecting with your children, setting yourself up as a leader, making your children like themselves when they're with you so they want to please you. It's all about you and your leadership, but it's positive. It's the discipline is a tiny part of it. You address the bad behavior, but you focus on the good kid. Yeah, sometimes it takes a microscope to find the good parts, if they're really crazy, but you know what I'm saying. You want to bond with your kid because that is the power. Leaders do not just discipline all the time. That's a dictator. You're not going to get results by just addressing bad behavior all day long. Most of it should be addressing the good kid or, bonding with the good kid. I don't want to tell the story tonight. I'm just kind of not in the mood for it, but the pool story is a really good example of leadership parenting. It wasn't my kid, but it was the pool story. It's if you look it up, you look on you look up Bratbusters example of leadership parenting, and it's the pool story. That video, I hit every point perfectly in that video. Normally I don't. I usually miss something, but I really like that video. Okay. Anyway, check that out. The pool story just encompasses how I look at leadership. Do you think I'm getting more pushback from her now since I'm trying to make more effort to asserting myself better? How long do I need to stay consistent for the change to happen? Haha, might be a silly question. Kayla Fisher, and let me go back. Did you mention an age? Was it a 3-year-old? I'm going back. Almost 3-year-old. Okay, so things usually get worse before they get better. Is that what you're asking? They usually do. Because when you start exercising your leadership, they're going to go, I remember the old you. I don't trust this new you. So yeah, it does. That's why I love the pool story. I love the pool story too. I love that one. But that's why my boot camp course is 5 weeks. It takes about 5 weeks, about 3 weeks before you start to see some results. And then by 5 weeks, you're usually getting it. It doesn't mean that their behavior is perfect. It just means you kind of know what you're doing at that point. It's all about you and your leadership. You lead, they will follow. If you're not a leader for your children and you send them out in the world without a leader at home, they're going to be very vulnerable to peer pressure, bullying, the drug dealer on the corner, the internet, the Kardashians. You get the idea? They're going to go searching leadership elsewhere. 4-year-old son gets overly energetic when there is too much stimulation. He gets aggressive, loud. How to calm him down without having to leave the situation. Well, there again, set yourself up as a leader. You can check out my behavior board. That's completely free. You're on that board too. The behavior board is a rule and a consequence for every family member over 3 or 3 and above. And so yeah, start there. That's the start of leadership. My boot camp course uses the behavior board. In coaching, I don't always use it. Believe it or not, I don't always use it, but sometimes it isn't appropriate. Depends on what's happening. But yeah, you can check out the behavior board. And when you're a leader, my point with that is that when you're a leader, it calms them down. It just does. They feel safe. They feel secure. They got a safe place to land. They can tell you anything. You're a really good listener. You just make them feel calmer and more confident, and it increases their self-esteem. That's what leadership does for kids. That's why I just talk about you. You set yourself up as a leader for your child. It will increase their self-esteem, their confidence. It'll improve their behavior and your relationship with them. Oops, 2-year-old screaming in the car. Yeah, you do ignore it. But if it gets that bad, I would just pull over and say, no screaming, too loud. And I'd pull over and just look down at your lap or something for a while, like, just a couple minutes. And, but yeah, they're going to go through stage after stage after stage. Plus, I don't know if they're screaming just to be annoying or are they having a tantrum. Like, I don't know. There's all sorts of different screaming. I love listening to you. Thank you. Oh, well, thank you. I appreciate your support. I hit 100,000 on Facebook this week. On Monday, I think I hit 100,000. So thanks so much for your support. I really appreciate that. I think I've been on here now on a regular basis, really posting on here for about 4 months. And then Instagram's my bigger one. And that's about 6 months. And then TikTok's my biggest. That one, I've been on there for 2 years now. That's where I started doing lives, was on TikTok. And one of the first lives I did, I didn't know how this happened. Because you can tell me how many people are here. I don't usually look anymore, but I got 57 people here. Is that right? Yeah. Anyway, no, 50. Sorry, I was looking at my battery life. 57% people here. Anyway, yeah, I got 50 people here. Anyway, when I first started doing lives, I was brand new at it. Didn't know what I was doing, but I can talk through water anyway. So I thought, okay, I'm going to start doing lives now. About a week in, I was doing them, I don't know, a couple times a week. Anyway, about a week in, 26,000 people turned up to one live at one time in TikTok. I couldn't figure it out. And then someone told me what had happened was someone really big who had a huge following had shared that I was doing a live. So all their audience came flying over. They only did it once. So obviously they weren't that impressed with me. So can you imagine? I just started doing lives and I had 26,000 people. Anyway, the questions were flying. I didn't know what I was doing. I'm not sure. I might have wet my pants a little bit. It was nerve-wracking. It was so funny. So yeah, I never had that number again. Wow, that was a lot of people. That was overwhelming. Okay. Okay, I'm going to read. This is on YouTube. How much time will it take for a 6-year-old to show good manners everywhere, school, family, after starting behavior board? He seems very happy kid since we started at home. I just see the results already. So this is someone on YouTube said they've already started the behavior board. They're seeing some results. The thing is, if you're doing it well, it's usually 3 to 5 weeks, around there, 3 to 6 weeks, that you really start to see things sort of settle down and the behavior gets good. But if it's not, then that would be the next level up, the boot camp course, because you might be missing something. You might be really good at that behavior board, but there's other things that you're missing. But usually 3 to 6 weeks is when you should start to see results. And it's really about you. Like about 3 weeks in, most of my clients start to sort of go, oh, I'm getting it. I'm getting it. And then by week 5, that's the last session usually in coaching. And on the boot camp course, after 5 weeks, they sort of fly on their own. And the behavior board is not the focus at that point. Week 4, we kind of pull away from the behavior board. Love your videos. 4-year-old with a strong personality, bossy, maybe unbiased, but very well behaved, very sweet. Frequent, sassy, rude in public. Does this fall under attitude? Yeah, that's attitude. If you were a leader, that wouldn't happen. So it's all, I know I keep going back to that, but it's true. Now, the reason I know this is true, I've worked with hundreds of kids, troubled teenagers, toddlers, everything in between. And I managed to get respect with all of them. They treated me really well. Why was that? Was it my leadership, or I just happened to be there on the good day every time? Do you know what I mean? You lead, they will follow. It's a natural thing. Have you ever been around someone that you just really admire and you look up to, like a mentor? Could have been a teacher, a coach, someone who just made you feel good about yourself and just had that skill. I have that with kids. I don't have it with adults. I do because I don't mother adults. But yeah, that's leadership, and they tend to want to please you. It's just a natural instinct. When someone makes them feel good about themselves, they want to please that person. That's the power in leadership. You also want to be best friends with your kids, but your number one role is parent. Sorry, I'm skipping ahead just because people come and go, so I try and get to the most recent question. Geez, that was stupid that I thought 57 people were here and it was my battery life I was reading. Sometimes I do. I'm 63 years old, so sometimes I do the dumbest things. Okay, thank you. Plan on registering for your bedtime class. We have the hardest time with bedtime. Yeah, bedtime battles. The reason it's called battles is it's a battle. It's usually one night of hell. And usually the worse that first night is, the better the results. Because they realize, oh, you know what you're doing now. Oh, you're not going to give up. I may as well give up. It's a battle. It's in 2 parts. It goes from 2 to 8 years old. But the first part is getting them in bed. That's the easy part. The second part is keeping them there. That's the hard part. And that's your challenge. I've got clients, got a client just going through that now. Oh, they actually did really well. Oh, they did really well with it. A few extenuating circumstances because of the way their house is set up and that. But yeah, they're doing really well with it right now. But they said, yeah, it got ugly. But much to their surprise, it's working. So they're doing really well. I would say bedtime battles and mealtime battles are two of the most common big challenges in coaching, is those two. Yeah, bedtime and mealtime. Mealtimes takes longer to fix, but bedtime is often just one night, but it's ugly. It can get really ugly. You got to go through the storm to get to the rainbow. Brushing her teeth when she is not into it. Do I just hold her down and force it? Sort of, yeah. You got to make it happen. It doesn't have to be good, but it has to sort of happen. So it's like diaper changing. You got to make it happen. It's not like, oh, they don't like having their diaper changed, so I haven't done it in 2 weeks. You got to do stuff, right? So my kids learned that, and they were very different with their father. So they knew when mom said, I'm brushing your teeth, and then they would just go, because they knew it was going to happen anyway. But I probably went through, my daughter wouldn't have fought me. My son would have fought me. He would have tried. And so I would have said, well, you're going to get your teeth brushed anyway. He would have clenched his mouth. I probably just would have pried his lips open and just done a little bit of that. And I said, there you go, all done. I don't make a big deal out of it, but I make sure that toothbrush hits his teeth. And when I say something's going to happen, it happens. Uh-oh, what are your thoughts on timeout? Hi, Lydia, you must be new here. Everyone knows who's a regular. I hate timeout. I can't stand it. I think it's humiliating, mean, and you don't know what you're doing. If you're throwing a kid in a corner, it's like, I don't know what to do. Go over there. Yeah. When you say to a child, go sit in a corner for 10 minutes or whatever, and you think about what you did, they're sitting there feeling like garbage. There's no lesson in it. It's just mean. I hate it. So what do you do instead? Keep watching. I'm going to read out my top 5 tips for parenting toddlers. This is under the age of 3 is what I consider a toddler. 3 and above, they go on the behavior board. That's free in the link above, or you can check out the toddler courses or the boot camp course. Coaching, I can't take everyone on these days. My schedule's pretty packed, but you can still look into it and then apply for coaching, and you'll go in a queue, so I'll get to you eventually. Okay, so here's my top 5 tips for parenting toddlers. Number 1, child-proof your home so you never have to say no. Number 2 is you set up a toy rotation system so they're never bored. Number 3 is when you want to connect with a toddler, you do so in their world. You don't take them to the nail salon. You go to the park and roll down the hill with them. They start to look at you differently. When you get good at entering their world, they just start to listen to you more. It's just weird how that happens. Number 4 is you stop with the mini therapy sessions when you're disciplining. Words are not their language. You discipline in their world also. Their world is actions. You use consistent corrective actions. If they have a toy and they hit with it, you say no, take the toy away, put it where they can see it, and leave it there for a while. And number 5 is stop trying to figure them out. Toddlers are not figure-outable. They're brand new, fresh human beings. They're just forming. They've got one marble and some tumbleweed in there. Imagine if you've only been in the world for 2 years. In the first year, you were a potato laying on a mattress. Like, they're just brand new. Okay, so don't try and figure. They might even go like this and smear poop on the wall. Go figure that one out. Yuck. Okay. Thanks so much. Your advice has helped already. Excellent. I already get feedback from the school that he's changed. Yeah, that's one of the nice things is when you start doing all this stuff, this leadership stuff, you'll find that teachers will often say to you, what are you doing? What's going on? Or the family will say, what's going on? He's just so polite now. And so that's one of the added bonuses. I don't go on about that, obviously, but that's one of the added bonuses is, other people start to notice. Advice. Oh, I'm so glad you asked this. I was actually just going to mention that when I talked about play in their world, connect in their world. This is from Maddie Coulson. Advice for parents who aren't naturally good at playtime. This is what you do. You watch them play and you join in. It's kid-led play. You literally watch how they play and you join in and mimic them. And you'll see it. They'll just start. That's what I did. They'll just start to look at you differently. When you enter their world, they're more likely to listen to you. It's a respect thing. You're respecting them by entering their world. It's like, you don't say to a kid, here's a coloring book, here's the crayons, and stay within the lines. If you're dealing with a 2-year-old, you just give them some paper and have at it. Let them create. Let them be in charge of the play. Okay? It doesn't mean you can't show them things, but you got to understand that they need to feel like they just have this freedom to be themselves. You're not always expecting them to be perfect or polite or you're finding their inner adult. Don't do these mini therapy sessions with 2-year-old, please. Discussing all their big feelings and big emotions. That's garbage. I know it is trendy right now, but it was invented to make the mom feel good about herself. It's completely about the mom. It has nothing to do with the toddler. It doesn't do anything. These mini therapy sessions drive me insane. 2-year-old does not need a therapy session. That's your world. You're expecting them to find their inner adult. They don't have that yet. You find your inner child and enter their world when you're playing with them and when you're disciplining them. You're amazing, and I'm so thankful. Oh, I didn't mean to read that out. You're amazing. Oh, I read it twice. Okay. And I'm so thankful to have stumbled across one of your videos. I work with 2-year-olds. My children are all grown. And you're 100% right about being a leader. Playing with them, getting down their level. Exactly. Being a leader is the way to go. Thank you. I've been able to fine-tune a few things from watching your videos. Yeah, that's so important. You get down on their level. You need to understand that children are the same as us. Imagine if you love doing something and someone comes along and says, that's great, can I join in? Isn't it kind of like, well, yes, this is what you do, and it makes you feel good, right? Whereas if they say, hey, no, that's not the way you do it like this, look at the difference. Whereas if a kid's just hitting something and you go, oh, that's cool, you go like that. That's how I play with kids. I watch them play and I join in. Oh, I like that. Instead of saying, how about we do it this way? That's okay too. But like you want to guide them along to, more appropriate play and all that too. But also, that's not how you enter. Like you enter by entering that's not how you start it. You just mimic them and watch them play. I learned that especially, well, I kind of always did that, but I learned that especially when I was working with autistic children, is just as soon as I started mimicking them, they would often look over or they'd stop and they'd realize, because you entered their world, right? They can be very isolated in their own world, even though they're surrounded by people, depending on where on the spectrum they are. I learned all this from kids. I never went to school. I've never read a book on parenting or kids. They taught me all this. This is all kid-led learning, teenager-led learning. My favorite thing was mentoring troubled teens. That was where I learned more about human nature than anywhere else. And I get hired by a lot of teachers, principals, child psychologists, and daycare workers. I have never been hired by a youth worker. Youth workers work with troubled teens. If you can get respect with a troubled teen, like I've done that, you don't need my help. Like that is the PhD in all this. I mean, I might have been hired by a youth worker, but they didn't tell me they were. I would probably figure it out anyway by their vernacular, the way they talk. But anyway. Okay, I found you this week, and I have been working on my behavior. That's what this is all about. So glad you said that. Oops, it skipped ahead. Oops, it skipped ahead just a sec. I want to read that. Sugar. Darn it. I lost it. I want to read that because it is focused on you. Everything I teach is focused on you. Okay, there it is. I found you this week, and I have been working on my behavior. I have already seen a huge difference in our household just in a few days. I really enjoy listening to you. You make things so uncomplicated. I work really hard to make it make sense to you, because that's why I tell a lot of stories. Anecdotes and stories I'm like that. That's how I learn. If you tell me what to do, that's okay. But if you tell me a story about someone who was in my boat or whatever, if you tell me a story, I'm going to learn a lot quicker. So I work really hard to make it easy to understand and relatable to. Sometimes I'll get clients and they'll say, so embarrassing to admit what we're doing. We yell and we lose our patience all the time. And I'm like, yeah, so what are you embarrassed about? Like most parents yell and lose their patience all the time. That's why they hire me. Also, I've never been hired by a bad parent. What bad parent in their right mind, or in their wrong mind, I guess, would hire a parenting coach? So if you're struggling, you are not alone. Huge portion of my clients are teachers, principals, child psychologists. I couldn't do their job, by the way. Parenting is personal, it's different. Those are institutions. Those are business-based relationships with children. Parenting is personal. They identify, that's very different. Some stuff crosses over. A lot doesn't, though. A lot does not cross over. So, but yeah. I don't know why I started going on about that. Anyway, I ramble. Sorry, I have to move over now to Instagram. I got to get going. So anyway, if you want to join me on Instagram, it's Bratbusters. It's Bratbusters Parenting. By the way, people have been scammed out of money. There are people out there using my videos, using my picture, calling them me, and they are scamming people out of money. It makes me so freaking mad. There's nothing I can do about it. It's just the way nothing I can do about it. Just checking the link here. That is me. Keep following my own links. then that is me. But yeah, if you just Google and they say, and there's a picture of me, Bratbusters.com is my website. And the link above will take you to Podia where all my courses are. And, but anyway, yeah, isn't that frustrating? Nothing I can do. Anyway, I feel so bad for people when that happens. Some of them have been scammed out of hundreds of dollars. And anyway, there is a law against that, but you just can't find those people. That's the problem. So there's no point even reporting them. Anyway, okay, I got to get going. Thanks so much for joining me. Check out the link above, my free behavior board, my mini toddler courses, my big boot camp course, and my coaching. So I'm moving over to Instagram now. Happy parenting. And I'm on YouTube the whole time. So I ran a bit long on there. Yeah, I went too long. I have to shorten it on here. Just because I got stuff to do. Belgium. What does Bratbusters mean from Belgium? A brat is a naughty child, and busting is fixing that fit. And it was just supposed to be funny, right? So anyway, should I tell the story of why I named it that? It's quite funny, actually. Some people anyone who's offended by my company name Bratbusters, I don't want to work with you anyway. If you don't have a sense of humor, it's just meant to be funny. But do you want me to tell the story of how I named my company? If so, I will. If not, I won't bore you with it. But anyway, okay, thanks for joining me here. You might have come over from Facebook, and I'm going over to TikTok after that. Because someone asked, tried Googling it, Bratbusters. Oh yeah, I don't know how to explain that. Someone from Belgium said, can you explain Bratbusters? So anyway, if you want to know why I named my company that, you can go ahead and ask. It's a funny story. But if not, then I won't bother telling. Appropriate consequences for a 3-year-old. I won't go into that. You can check out the free behavior board. It'll explain how you do this. And don't get caught up in the consequences. They aren't that important. It's the fact that there's a rule and a consequence for everybody. Don't micromanage exactly what's on there. Don't overthink it. Just put a chore down, something simple. If they won't do it, there's another consequence to follow that. So you'll see. Check out the behavior board. How do you deal with if kids don't follow consequences? Check out the behavior board. If they won't do the first one, there's a backup one, and that's the one that you can always do. So yeah, tell the story. Okay, I will tell the story about how I named my company Bratbusters. Some people are very offended by that, and I don't care. Anyway, I thought it was funny. So years and years ago, I used to mentor troubled teens, and one of them said, "You're always busting brats, right?" And so I just laughed. And so anyway, then one of them said, "Oh, you got to teach this stuff, Lisa. No one talks to us like you do." So they were kind of the ones that inspired that. And then years later, I thought, this was a long time later, I thought, well, I'll try and become a parenting coach. And, it was kind of a new field. This is 17 years ago. So I took this government-funded course for people who were starting their own businesses. And it was I was about 20 of us. I think it was 3 weeks or a month long or something. And it was every day for about, 3 or 4 hours. There was 20 of us in this course, and we were all starting entrepreneur wannabes, all starting our own businesses. So one of the sessions that we had, we sat at this table and we threw out 3 names for our company, and we were all voting on them, and feedback for our company names, what to name it. So I had all these lovely names like, I don't know, parenting with love and all this stupid stuff, which isn't me. I like using humor. So anyway, I want something that's just a bit different. So I said Bratbusters was one of mine. There was this woman in there. She hated my guts. I was very extroverted, very chatting with everyone, and she was very prissy. I rubbed her the wrong way. And everyone said she hates you with a passion. No one liked her. I guess because I was popular in there, she hated my guts. Anyway, she was so snotty. So we're going around the table, and one of the names, and you say the name, and then they all go, yeah, yay or nay, right? So I said Bratbusters. Everyone goes, yay, yay, yay. And she goes, I would never name a company that. And I said, Bratbusters it is. So it was her that named it. I thought, if she's the type that I don't want to work with someone like her. So I thought, if people don't get the humor in the name Bratbusters, I don't want to work with them anyway. So she named it for me. Oh, was she mad when I said that? It's great. Oh boy, I like karma. Anyway, you said you also never received the behavior board. Lots of people sign up for it. It takes 10 or 20 minutes to arrive. So whenever I get emails, I didn't get the behavior board, I usually get a follow-up. Oh, never mind, it came. It takes about 10 to 20 minutes. I think it was last weekend, Podia, where I have all my courses. I probably shouldn't even say this, but I was so not impressed. They glitched, and they decided that there was some spammy stuff going on in my account, which I've never done anything spammy in my life. So anyway, they shut down my emails for 12 hours over the weekend. That's a big deal in my business. I got a big following, and I was not impressed. So they instantly, as soon as they heard from us, because a couple of us were, contacting them, what are you doing? And because they said suspicious behavior. So anyway, they put it back up, and then they were very apologetic. But there was no amends. I always say, they should have taken a percentage off of my fee that I pay them or something. But I say, when you're apologizing, there's 4 steps. You say, I'm sorry. You say, it was all my fault. You make amends. Like, what can I do to make it up to you? They didn't do that. I'm still waiting for my amends. Where's my amends? But anyway, so that 12 hours, people didn't get the behavior board or any other email on my Podia site. So I was not impressed with that. But evidently they got it later. That's the only time that people weren't getting the behavior board. Otherwise, you will get it eventually. I love this story. I love the name too. Yeah, she was a piece of work, I'll tell you. And she hated. She took an instant dislike to me. She was very prissy. And I don't have any filter. I talk to anybody, and it's very inappropriate to talk like that. She was one of those. She had something up her butt. God, she hated me. It's funny, she took such a hate to me right away. It was really funny. Everyone got a real kick out of it, actually. Okay. No, I don't say to ignore the bad behavior. Someone said, I know you say to ignore the bad behavior. I would never say that. And focus on the good kid. Does that work well for an 18-month-old? No, you deal with the bad behavior, then you focus on the good kid. You ignore tantrums. Tantrums are not bad behavior. They're a loss of emotional control at hearing the word no or not getting their own way. So I never ignore bad behavior, ever. I deal with it like that, quick, get it over with, and then you focus on the good kid. You ignore tantrums. They're not bad behavior. An 18-month-old, yeah, you can ignore tantrums with an 18-month-old, yes. And you always address bad behavior. You say, and it's always consistent corrective actions with an 18-month-old, but they're going to keep doing the wrong thing. On repeat, stop crawling on the couch. And they crawl on the couch. Stop, you're just pulling them off the couch constantly. So I'm going to read out my top 5 tips for parenting toddlers just to make your environment easier. It's sort of more about managing toddlers, setting them up for success so you're not always doing consistent corrective actions, because they are going to keep doing the wrong thing over and over and over because they don't learn right away. They learn through repetition. Anyway, these are my top 5 tips for parenting toddlers. Number 1, child-proof your home so you never have to say no. Number 2, set up a toy rotation system so they're never bored. Number 3 is you enter their world when you want to connect with a toddler. You don't take them to the nail salon, you go to the park and roll down the hill. When you get good at entering their world, they look at you differently. They're more apt to listen to you. Number 4 is stop with the mini therapy sessions when you're disciplining. That's garbage. That's really trendy right now, and it was invented for the moms to make her feel good. It's not about the toddler at all. I know you have big feelings. I know your emotions are really big and you were angry. All that garbage, it's absolute crap. They're about actions. You use consistent corrective actions with toddlers. That is their world. That's how you respect them. You discipline them in their world. You play with them in their world. Don't expect them to find their inner adult. You know what I hate? Use your words. What a patronizing, holier-than-thou thing to say to a poor little kid. Use your words. I hate that. What you're saying is find your inner adult. Be good like me. It's so patronizing. Anyway, I know it's trendy, but God, I hate that stuff. And the last one is stop trying to figure them out. Toddlers are not figure-outable. Do you know why I hate that stuff so much? It's in the pleaser parent category. I saw that coming in, I always say 30 years ago. It's probably closer to 40 now because I'm getting old. Anyway, I saw that coming. I saw it coming a mile away. It started with participation awards. I couldn't believe my ears. You mean you turn up and you get an award? Are you freaking kidding me? Where's the incentive to be good or accomplish anything as a child if you're getting an award just for turning up? The stupidest thing I ever heard of. And then it got worse and worse and worse. Use your words. All this garbage. Let's discuss your big feelings and big emotions. And 2-year-olds looking at you like you're nuts. Oh. Anyway, it's going out of style, thank God, because it was very good for my business because that stuff backfires down the road. So people are hiring me later. That stuff didn't work. Yeah, I know. It's horrible. Okay, teenager talking about consistently help. Yeah. I'm going to read out my top 3 tips for parenting teenagers. They're my favorite age, teenagers. I don't have a course on them. If you want to work with me, that would be coaching. But I can't take everyone on these days. You have to check it out and then apply for coaching if you're interested. But anyway, here's my top 3 tips for parenting teenagers. You might, talking about consistently, I think number 1 will be good for you. Number one, listen to understand and show empathy. You don't listen to gather information to lecture with, or they will shut you out and talk back. Okay. If they want your advice, they'll ask for it. By the way, they already know it. Use these instead of that. Just listen to show empathy and understanding. They'll tell you everything when you get good at that, by the way. And number two is you negotiate pretty much everything. It goes something like this. Hey, I want your dirty clothes in the hamper. What do you want from me? It's not a blanket statement, but you want to do that with as much as possible. You give respect to get it. It's more give than get, by the way. You got to give, and then get, get, and then it sort of evens out a bit more. But you gotta put in the work first with teenagers. And number three is don't sweat the small stuff with teenagers. They're gonna make mistakes, and that's okay. If they do something stupid and it's not a big deal, you say, well, that was stupid. Do you want to hear what I did when I was your age? And laugh it off. They're allowed to make mistakes. There's no shame in not being perfect. So yeah, and save your energy for the big stuff because you're gonna need it. If you do get big stuff. If you're a leader, you won't get big stuff. Please send me your behavior board. You apply for it. You sign up for it. It's in the newsletter. It's up above. Just get the link above, and it's the newsletter. It comes with the newsletter. What do you do instead of telling them to use their words, especially if you know they can say what they want instead of whining? Well, you just say, I don't like that tone of voice. You can ask for it like this. And then that's it. You don't say use your words. It's so, you know what you're saying? You're not good enough the way you are. Be more like me. It's so patronizing. I'll tell you, if someone said that to me, if I was having an argument, I'm not an arguer, but if I was having an argument with someone and an adult, if someone said to me, use your words, it's the same feeling. I'd feel like smacking them. I've never hit anyone in my life, but it's so patronizing and holier than thou. And kids pick up on that. They don't know how to articulate that, but I'm speaking for them and I'm telling you, they don't like it. A 3-year-old boy is super smart and asks questions, talks constantly. When we ask him for a break, it hurts his feelings. Thoughts? I don't know what you mean by that. Why does it hurt his feelings if you just say, no more questions. I'm tired of answering questions. If that hurts his feelings, he's trying to control you. Like what I mean is, yeah, I don't get that. In other words, he wants to be in control and you should be answering his questions all day, every day. If my kids ask me a lot of questions, and I would often say, I don't know, let's figure it out together. My mom did that too. So, and then if they kept asking, I'd say, oh, no, I'm done answering questions for now. Give me a half hour of no questions. That would not have hurt their feelings because I was a leader. They knew they were loved. I was meeting their needs and managing their wants. Okay. But yeah, it sounds like your child just wants to be in charge all the time. So if you're meeting their needs, that wouldn't bother them. If you're not meeting their needs, that might bother them. So, if your 3-year-old, this is a good question. It comes up a lot in coaching. If your 3-year-old doesn't do the positive action after hitting and you resort to the 24-hour media blackout and they continuously ask for TV throughout that 24-hour period, do you ignore or remind them? Okay, so what this parent's asking is on the behavior board, there's 2 consequences for the kids. The first one is a positive action like doing a chore. If they break the rule, they have to do a chore. If they won't do that, and there's always an allotted time, you say within 15 minutes of being asked to do so you start the 15 minutes and they just stand there and wait. Beep, 15 minutes is up. They didn't do the chore. So you say, okay, let's go to the behavior board. So you didn't do the chore after breaking the rule. So now it's 24-hour media blackout and make it happen. You just start it. They might run and do the chore, say, well, thanks for that, but you still got media blackout. Like you don't have to do that chore, right? So anyway, it's too late. Once you start media blackout, it has to happen. So they're nagging you. I want TV. Say, well, got 24-hour media blackout. I might say that with a 3-year-old maybe once. But the thing is, you do it with them. You do 24-hour media blackout with them, and that's your time to bond with them. Say, no, but I'll tell you what, do you want to play a game? So I might do that. So when they ask for TV, no TV. Do you want to play a game? If they say, no, I hate you, say, fine, never mind. And then when they calm down, you say, you ready for that game now? So you're trying to connect with them during that 24-hour media blackout. So that's your time to connect. You're never angry. There's no anger in this. There's no emotions. When you're disciplining, it's a business transaction. There are 0 emotions. When you're playing, you can be crazy and wild and fun and all that goofy stuff. But when you're disciplining, there's no emotions. But I want TV. You want to play a game? Or you could just ignore it. If they go over the top, you can just ignore it. But yeah. A lot of it is body language. And when I'm coaching, we often work on that because a lot of parents get very stressed out. and it comes across in their body language and the way they look and all that. So we have to work on all that. Or I might even say with not so much a 3-year-old, but if they were 5, 6, 7 years old and they were going on, I might say, whatever, and then look away. So letting them know, I hear you, but whatever. So like it has no effect on you whatsoever. If it doesn't bother you, they'll stop doing it. 3-year-old saying he hates himself. Yeah, okay. Are they saying that when everything's going great? When they're on Dumbo at Disneyland going around having fun? Or do they say it just because they didn't get their own way? If they say it they're going to pull out all the stops. I hate you. You hate me. I hate myself. I'm going to kill myself. I'm going to do this and all that. They'll say all that stuff to get their own way because it would have worked in the past. They only say that stuff if it's worked in the past. It's a learned behavior. My kids never said anything like that, not once, because it would never have worked, and they just instinctively knew. Not once did they ever say anything like that, because they knew I would have said, whatever. So it's just a form of manipulation. That's all it is. Okay, I got to move on to TikTok now. If you want to join me over there, it's Bratbusters Parenting. I'm going to be leaving here now. You can check out the link above. Get my free behavior board, my mini toddler courses, my big boot camp course, or you can look into coaching. I'm really busy these days, but you have to apply for it these days. Tell me why you want to work with me if you do. So if not, you can just go over to the next live. I'm going over to TikTok now. Happy parenting. Okay, let me see here. Okay, this is a tricky one. Brandy says, this is a very tricky one. This is one of those exceptions because it's a health issue. Is there another way to deal with 18-month-old tantrums besides letting them cry until they calm? Can't let daughter overexert herself due to heart condition. So I might read a book. I might, if they're having a fit, a tantrum, I might sit down beside them and start reading one of their favorite books out loud. Hopefully they'll join in. You might even pick them up. But yeah, that's an extenuating circumstance, right? If you've got a child who cannot overexert themselves and they're going to have a tantrum and have a heart attack, I mean, you can't do that, right? So yeah, that's an extenuating. I've often worked with families who have seriously ill children, and we do have to make a lot of exceptions. Aw, congratulations. Aw. Oh, how sweet. This is from I Am. Hi, Lisa. My baby was born this morning at 10:37. She's absolutely my dream come true. This is I Am. She's been watching my lives now consistently for quite some time. And she was due, I think, on the 6th of March. And then she was induced. So congratulations. She has a little baby girl, her first one. Congratulations. Nice. That's very, very nice. It's very sweet. Okay. So let's get going with your parenting questions. Media blackout, just quit the television in general. It is oh, okay. Okay, this is kind of political. I don't get into this stuff, but that's from someone on YouTube. Media blackout, just quit the television in general. It has single-handedly indoctrinated generations. You shouldn't be in a competition with a box. Okay. Yeah, I don't get into those political things. But I'd already started reading it, so I had to finish, right? Would accidentally yelling show the child you are weak? Well, I actually tell parents to yell, and I'll tell you why. Just listen, hear me out, hear me out. It's when you do the behavior board, and if you're a yeller, you always put your rule as no yelling. So if you feel a yell coming on, you have to let it out because you're showing them, wait a minute, I broke a rule, now I got a consequence, okay? It's only if you're already a yeller. I was never yelled at. I never yelled. Neither did my ex-husband. And we just were never, my kids or I was never raised with yelling. So, but if you are a yeller, make sure you yell so that you show the kids, you know, it's okay to break a rule. Now there's a consequence. So the only weakness is when you don't take accountability for your actions. That's weak. People who don't apologize and take responsibility and accountability and don't make amends for their actions, they're the weak ones. Not necessarily. This is, can you apply everything you teach to a 5-year-old on the spectrum? That's ASD, autism spectrum disorder. My son has anger issues. Yeah, that's a coaching issue. That's more of a specialty, like this other dad was talking about the child with a heart condition. Yeah, that would be coaching. And there are lots of situations where I have to work around things. One of them that's quite interesting is I coach people all over the world. And there are all sorts of different religions and cultures where other people are involved and they have a lot of control over you and your family, different generations, right? It might be multi-generational house, might be religious based. A lot of dads will not be on that behavior board because they are the head of the household. I have to work around that. You think, how stupid would I be to push my North American ways on everybody else? Like, I find it fascinating to have to work around different cultures. So, but yeah, there's lots of exceptions to this. This is just all my general advice. But when I'm coaching, lots of different things come up. Yeah, the bottom line is I want you to enjoy parenting and have a mutually respectful relationship with your children or your friends. That's my goal. How we get there, I can't predict that. A 6-year-old who lies a lot, that's an easy one. Just put on the behavior board, no lying. And every time you catch them in a lie, there's a consequence. Don't berate them for that. Don't criticize them for that. Just say, okay, you lied, here's the consequence. And that's it. Don't go on, you shouldn't lie. That's a bad thing. They don't need to hear it. That's kind of berating them. Think about the pool story. You've heard that pool story a million times, I'm sure. If you haven't, look up my video. What's it called? Example of Leadership Parenting. So Bratbusters, Example of Leadership Parenting. That video, that pool story was the best I ever told it. And it was in a live, and it's a video. Anyway, it explains how you discipline a child, but there's no shame in it, if that makes any sense. Hey, you did something bad. Here's the consequence. Okay, now do you want to read a book, or then you instantly focus on the good kid. Where you put your energy grows. If you're putting all your energy into dealing with bad behavior with your children, you're going to get more and more and more of it. You just will. Where you put your energy, where you put your focus is what grows. So I deal with bad behavior, and then I quickly focus on the good kid because I want to focus on what I want, and I want the good kid. I want the happy kid. I want the kid with high self-esteem. I want the kid who likes himself. My goal was always that when I'm working with kids or raising them or whatever, I want them to like themselves when they're with me. That's always my goal. What they think about me, I really don't care. But my goal is that they like themselves. The thing is, when they like themselves when they're with you, they like you anyway. It just happens naturally. Found your account and we are changing the way we parent. Is it normal for it all to get worse before it gets better? I say that all the time. Got to go through the storm to get to the rainbow. It's going to get worse before it gets better because you're shaking things up. It's a transition time. You're shaking things up. So yeah, it's going to get worse before it gets better. Usually, although I just worked with someone, I think it was today, I can't remember. And they had a really good first week. I'm almost disappointed when that happens. It's like, you mean it was working? Like, oh, okay. Well, obviously I didn't push hard enough. So usually we're shaking things up here. And yeah, so it usually does get worse before it gets better. Usually. It doesn't with me because, because your kids know the old you. That's why. They remember the old you. But if I was to go in, it would get easier from day one, usually. If I was to go in and deal with your kids, but they don't know me. So, and I come in as a level 10 leader. You're learning how to lead too. So not only are you learning, they're adjusting to this. So you're both learning together. So yeah, it's going to get ugly at times, but that's what you want. You're shaking things up. So accept that's part of it. Everyone wants that rainbow. I always say, and sometimes I'll say to people, hang on to your hats because there's a big storm coming. Not always, sometimes not so much, but sometimes I can predict, yeah, it's going to get ugly. Yeah. And sometimes I'm wrong, actually. I don't like to admit that because usually I'm pretty good at predicting, but someday I can't always predict that. Because sometimes the kids love disciplining their parents. So that's all they're focused on, right, is disciplining their parents. Other times they just really hate that they're on there too. So it can go either way. Do you think that socialization is important in toddlers? Not much is important with toddlers in that it's just that they're happy and they have fun and they got lots to do. Don't worry about all the little intricacies. Don't try and micromanage them. Just get them out there. They'll eventually learn how to socialize anyway. So a lot of parents worry about, should they be reading? Should they be doing this? Should they be doing it? As long as they're happy and healthy and get them out in fresh air and all that, don't worry about all that other stuff. Yeah, I had my kids, what I did with my kids, I waited till they were up on their feet. And once they were, and quite comfortably, they didn't fall down or anything. So once they were confidently up on their feet, I took them to the gym every single day, and they went in that gym daycare so I could work out. I love working out. So that was what I did. And that was their social time. Every morning they went to the gym. And my son liked it so much. And I think about 14 months I was taking them both there. And my son liked it so much that on the weekend, I went without him as soon as because they didn't have the childcare on the weekends. It was just during the week. So he'd cry when he saw me getting into my aerobics wear without him because he knew that mommy was going without him. So, yeah. What do you suggest for a 2-year-old who won't go in the cart and runs away at the store? How on earth are they getting away from you? Put them on a leash if you can't catch them. So yeah, put a harness on them, put them on a leash and say you're getting in the cart. Fight them like crazy, like a Tasmanian devil. I would suggest you do this, practice this a few times when you don't actually have to do a lot of shopping. So do some practice runs. What I did with my kids, it's in my tantrum course and it's also in the boot camp course, is how you do supermarket tantrums, how you deal with that. And you can avoid them usually by having a goodie bag. My kids had a shopping cart goodie bag, and every single time they sat in that shopping cart, it was new every day. I packed it up different every day. And I just had a little basket full of different toys in that I got from the dollar store, just cheap little toys. You know that you buy. I got a lot of those ones. They're party things, bags of like birthday party toys, those cheap little things. Buy a bunch of those and you just shove them in there with a little sippy cup with some juice or something or water. And then a little snack. And every time they sat in that shopping cart, it opened up like this, so it sat perfectly in their lap. And then they were happy. They'd sit there. But the second they got out of the shopping cart, that was closed up and it went away. They only had that in the shopping cart. So shopping was kind of special to them because that's the only place they got the goodie bag. Oh, I'm going to sneeze. That was a good one. It cracked me up. Oh, God, that was a real sneeze. Good old-fashioned sneeze. Okay. I'm a dry sneezer, thank God. Bless you, thank you. Did my hair go flying? I did that in the gym one day when I came up for air. All my hair was in my face. Okay. What do I do? My toddler bangs his head when he doesn't get his way. Okay, so they just start self-harming or whatever. You physically restrain them. You still don't look at them or talk to them. So you ignore a tantrum, but if they get violent, you physically restrain them. There's lots of different ways of doing that. You don't pick them up and hug them or anything like that. You just hold them and you look away. You don't look at them or talk to them. You just physically restrain them from hurting themselves, hurting someone else, or damaging property. If they're really headbangers and they do it all the time, the second they start to get angry, put a foam helmet on them. You can get little foam helmets on, I don't know where to shop them. I've got clients who've got them and they say, it's amazing. They haven't even had a tantrum since I started using that foam helmet because they see me pull it out when they start getting angry and they just go like that. They hate getting that thing put on. But if they're going to bang their head, wouldn't you rather put a foam helmet on and prevent concussion? So I didn't expect it doesn't always work that well with every kid, but yeah, I've had clients who say they just pull that thing out now. Or they make sure the kids can, or they point to it or something. The kid, oh, never mind. Most 2-year-olds can't control their tantrums that well, but some of them learn. Okay. Thought about getting a helmet. Yeah, but you only put it on them like when you think you're going to need it. You don't want them wearing it all the time, right? Someone said, my almost 2-year-old keeps throwing himself on the ground when he gets mad or screaming loud. And your question is, they're going to do that. So just ignore it. Okay, this one, you're not going to like my answer, but it's my answer. This is Antoine Oaks on YouTube. Hi, any suggestions for a 5-year-old who behaves at home but doesn't listen in school? Example, not sitting when told, refusing to start workbooks, etc. That's a contradiction. Children who, and you said 5-year-old that behaves at home, there's probably nothing going on at home that they hate. You may cater to them, or their home life might be catered to them. School does not cater to them. They have to do things they don't want to do. Does your child have chores at home that they don't like doing? I'm suggesting I'm guessing they don't. They're not used to doing things they don't like doing. So that's part of leadership. Your children at 3 years old should have chores, but they're very tiny. But they should learn that they've got to do what they need to do before they can do what they want to do. It's part of self-discipline. So you want to teach your children that there's just certain things you have to do in life that you don't want to do. So that's what that says to me. That, I have videos on chores. You never pay for chores, by the way. All children should be getting allowance, but chores you don't pay for, and they should all be doing chores. Anyway, I did a chores versus allowance video. That was one of my biggest ones, actually. That was about a year ago now. Where is it? I don't know where it is. It's probably here on TikTok. All my videos are on TikTok for sure. This is where I started really on social media a couple of years ago. So, and I used to do all my own. I don't do my videos anymore. I used to do my own videos. I used to stand in my bathroom just holding my camera, shaking, and that's where I started doing my videos. Yeah, no chores, but he has homework for me and workbooks and does that with no problem. Yeah, I'm suggesting that things are going more their way at home. That's why. So, yeah, they need more responsibilities at home. And also, if you're a leader, here's the thing. How old was this child? I think 5. Oh, 5. Yeah, okay. Here's the thing. When they've got a leader at home, they respect the leader. They respect everybody. It's just the way it is. The reason is they would never want it to get back to the leader that they were disrespectful. My kids would have been humiliated to get in trouble at school and have to face me. They would have been embarrassed because they looked up to me. They wanted to please me. So that's the power of leadership. It spreads everywhere. No matter where my kids were, who they were with, they had a leader at home. So that's the power of it. You go with them everywhere because they feel so good about themselves under your leadership. My son was in grade 2, and his teacher said, she called me on her lunch hour to tell me that she thought it was so cute. She goes, Lisa, I got to tell you what he said. And I said, what? And she goes, she said to my son, why are you so nice? And he looked up at her like this, and he says, Mommy makes us be nice. And you're darn right. They were nice everywhere. So work on your leadership skills. You might want to check out the boot camp course. That's in the link above. It's all about you and your leadership. By the way, that will serve you very well right through the teen years. They will tell you everything. When you're a good leader, they tell you everything. You won't want to hear it all, but they can't help themselves. Oh my goodness. Oh, you're going to hate this. My 4-year-old son is being recommended for the gifted program. My son was offered a very handsome scholarship at 3 and for a gifted school. I said no to everything. I mainstreamed him because I think that life is mainstreamed. I didn't want him segregated. I was very adamant about that. I fought that. I won't go into it. But by high school, he was segregated, and I was not happy about that. Yeah, I wanted him mainstreamed. So I've seen more problems. Like being gifted doesn't mean anything. It's just they're good at certain things. But to me, it meant nothing. Like I wanted him mainstream. I wanted him to be a normal kid. There you go. So but it's a personal thing. Is that the right way to do it? I don't know. That's my own personal view on that. So yeah, I kept him mainstreamed. Yeah, they were shocked when I said no. The teacher recommended that he get tested, and they brought in this team from this special school, and then they offered this huge scholarship. And the way they said it was like, I'm just going to go, oh my God, thank you. It was going to be for years and years, this really expensive school. And when I said no, oh, here's the funny story. So I said, nah, it doesn't interest me at all. So anyway, I said, thank you, but no, I would never do that to my poor kid. I wouldn't do that to my kid. So this is the funny part. My gift, I knew he was different. So I already knew he was different. So anyway, we went to the mall after that, just me and my son. He's 3 years old. We go to the mall with my gifted child, and he throws himself on the ground, has a tantrum. And I looked down at him, and I just thought, yeah, you're gifted, all right. Like, what does it even mean? Like, is that gifted? Yeah, I made the right decision. Yeah, he's 34 now. He's still smarter. We're still imbeciles compared to him in a lot of ways, but they're just usually gifted in a certain way. My son's very good at problem solving and organizing things, and he can just sort of see things differently. Yeah. Anyway, I got to get going. Thanks so much for joining me. I have to get going now. If you want to check out the link above, you can get my free behavior board, my mini toddler course, my I always want to say my free boot camp course. No, it's not free. The behavior board's free. Anyway, the boot camp course is not free. Anyway, neither is coaching. So it goes free behavior board, mini toddler courses, boot camp course, and coaching. I don't have time to take everyone on these days. If you want to apply for coaching, you have to send me an email. I'm sorry if I don't get to your messages or comments on social media. I'm doing my best. They're just coming in fast and furious. So, and my main goal is always serving my clients. So they always take first priority. By the way, if you want to work with me coaching and you're in crisis, life and death's usually teenage stuff, put crisis in the subject line. I always take on crisis clients. Okay, do you have scheduled lives? Tuesdays and Thursdays are my scheduled lives. The rest of them are like today. I just turn up when I've got some spare time. So, and they're also longer, those other ones. These ones I tend to make shorter. So just because my voice starts to go. Anyway, thanks so much for joining me. Happy parenting. Bye now.